In this video we will be discussing about the Git. So what is Git? Git is nothing but it's a global information tracker. The name itself, it says that we can track our application code with the help of the Git. So Git, we can call it as a version control system or source code management. So what does that mean by version control system, which is a VCS? Suppose regularly that application versions will get updated as per the client requirement, right? So one particular version of that application will not be worked, then we revert back to the previous version. So we can do that with the help of the Git. And at the same time, we can call the Git as a source code management, where we can manage our source code with the help of the Git. So that we can call the Git as a distributed version control system or source code management. So let's see what are the Git stages, or we can call it as a Git architecture. So Git has three stages. So Git has three stages. One is a working directory. And other one is the staging area. Other one is a staging area. Third one is a local repository. Third one is the local repository. Local repository. One is a working directory, staging area, and local repository. So whatever the files that we have created, that particular files will be placed in working directory first. So whatever the files in working directory, those files cannot be tracked. So in working directory, files cannot be tracked. In working directory, files cannot be tracked. So if you want to track the files, you have to add Git to that files. So if you want to track that files, so you have to add Git to that files, so that files can be tracked in staging area. So in staging area, files will be tracked. So in staging area, files will be tracked. So that we need to add Git to working directory, so that we can track the files. So all the tracking files will be located in staging area. And so once we track the file, we will be modifying the files by adding something or deleting something. So we will modify the file. So once we modify the file, we will commit the file. Once we modified the file, we will commit the file with the help of the git commit, and we'll give the message. So we will modify the file and we'll commit the file with the help of the git commit -m command, so that that particular file will be pushed into the local repository. Local repository is the place, nothing but it's your local system, where the source code with you only. Nobody will access to this local repository, means which is your local system. So once we modify the file from the staging area, after committing the file, then it will be pushed into the local repository. Local repository, nothing but your local system, where you are the only one having your source code with you. Nobody can access from outside. So if you want to uh, uh, track the files, so if you want to track the files, then you have to add the git we discussed. So here we need to add the git. So we need to add the git to the working directory, so that files will be tracked, and tracked files will be located in staging area. And from the staging area, you have to modify the file. And once you modify the file, then you have to commit the file. Once you committed with the git commit space -m indicates message, then files will get pushed into the local repository. This is the Git architecture, or Git stages we can say. And let's see practically how this works. So I have my EC2 AWS EC2 instance ready. So my git has been installed already. Okay, I have my git ready. So I'm going to create one file, touch on paytm file. Okay, I'm just creating file called paytm for example. So I've created my paytm file. Now this file, this is a working directory, means I cannot track this application called paytm which I have created. So how can I say that? By looking at the git status. So git status. So I'm sorry, I think I have done this previously. I'm going to create one more file. Let's clear it. Touch devops, touch devops. I have created one file called devops. So let's see whether it is tracking file or non-tracking file with the help of the git status. So see here, my devops file is not tracking, means it's in working directory. Here what they saying, so to include in what will be committed, we need to add git to the my devops file. So let's do that. Git add devops. So let's check that whether this file is tracking or not tracking with the help of the command called git status. Git status. See my devops file, if you see it in green color, means this file is tracking, means I have pushed this file from tracking non-tracking to tracking file. What we did, we just added git to that file so that my file is tracking right now, means it's in staging area, right? As we discussed previously, my file is in staging area right now. Then I have to modify this file, then have to commit the file to push into my local repository. So I'm going to add some data into this file. I AWS cloud provider, and you can use my services. That's it. I added some content and I'm just saving it, right? So let's check one more time git status. Okay, so once you added some data or deleted any deleted data, then it will show in a red color only. So once you modified, so then you have to commit first to push that into local repository. Let's commit it. Git commit minus m method commas, I am committing my devops file name. Okay, git commit. See, as soon as you committed with the help of the git commit, you see one file is changed and one insertion, means like we added one line. Okay, insertion in, and if you delete something you will get deletion, if you add something you'll get a one insertion, one file will get changed. Let's verify the git status again, what will happen. So if you see, we don't see that devops file. Okay, we don't see that devops file. So what we discussed previously, as soon as we committed, as soon as we modify any file, we will commit the file to push into the local repository. Once file goes into the local repository, we cannot see that file with the help of the git status. Cannot see that file into the git status. So this is how we can say git stage and git architecture. And now let's understand the git workflow. How git workflow will be. Let's understand the workflow. So I have a one file. I have a one file, and I have added git to my file. I have added git to my file, and as soon as I have added git to my file, it will go into the staging area. It will go into the staging area. So in staging area my file is tracking. So once I modify the file from the staging area, I will commit the file. I will commit the file with the help of the git commit space minus m. M is nothing but message here. So once I commit the file, my file will go to into the local repository. My file will go to into local repository. Okay, my file will go into the local repository. So from the local repository, I will push my file into the remote repository. Okay. From the local repository, I'll push my file. I will push my file with the help of git push origin master. So I'll push the file into the remote repository, which is the GitHub. So we have two types of the repositories. One is a local repository, other one is a remote repository. So remote repository is nothing but which placed in remote location, which is a GitHub. Local repository nothing but your local system where you have source code with you only. Okay, this is the GitHub. This is a GitHub, which is a remote repository. From local repository, you can push that file into the git push with the origin master. The file will go to the GitHub, which is a remote repository. So remote repository, and with the help of the from the remote repository, so I have my source code into the remote repository right now. So other developer will be able to access this remote repository, and he will modify the things from his side. Again he will push the code is local to GitHub again. So I will I will I will I will fork that repository of another developer. So I will fork that repository from the another developer, and again from the GitHub repository I will be using clone it and pull it. Okay, from the GitHub repository I will be clone the repository and pull the repository. Okay, git clone and git pull. So what does that mean by git clone? So you are making a local copy from an existing repository to work on. That is called git clone. So you are cloning something from the git, means like you are making your own local copy from the existing repository. That is called git clone. So what is the git pull? Git pull means like you are updating the local copy. You are updating your local copy with the new commits from the existing repository. So you are making a local copy from existing, we can call it as a git clone. And git pull is nothing but you are updating your local copy with the new commits from the existing repository. That is called git pull. So git pull equal to git fetch and git merge. So these are the interview questions you can say. So what is the difference between the git clone and git pull? What is git pull? So this is the entire git history. We discussed here git stages or git architecture, how it works, we practically shown here. And what is the this is what we can say git workflow. Thanks for watching.